Good afternoon. Welcome to sunny Phoenix, Arizona. It's a little cooler this week since we slid a week into driver appreciation, right?
Yeah.
Today I'm joined by Mark Deere and Jim Fitzsimmons. Can you kind of fill us in what you do here, Mark?
I can, Ken. Like you said, I'm Mark Deere. I have the privilege of leading our Swift dedicated services. Been with Swift 21 years, including the last 9 leading dedicated.
Jim Fitzsimmons, been at Swift 31 years, the chief operating officer. So pretty much what Mark doesn't manage, it kind of rolls up to me. So we kind of tag team all the operations within Swift. So we work very close together and literally sit across the hall from each other. So
That's right.
Get a lot of Mark Deere in my life.
Partners in crime.
That's right.
So everything kind of rolls up to the two of you, right? So we can answer just about any question today.
We should be.
Right?
We'll certainly try.
We'll try.
Yes. And if we can't answer it, we'll get an answer back to you.
Perfect. Well, drop any of the questions in the chat. We are live today. We're going to spend about a half an hour taking questions, answering any kind of concerns, issues, compliments, whatever you want to give us there in the chat. We'll work through with these folks, and they can answer just about anything. So we'll jump right into it. One of the first questions that came in live here was from Mike Hildebrand. Can someone explain how I commit and get dispatched only to arrive at a shipper and for them to tell me the loads was picked up the previous day?
I'll take that one. Yeah, so that's going to happen time to time, right? Like the goal is not for you to get to a customer, a shipper, and the load not be there. But there are going to be times where we get an order duplicated in the system. My guess, if that's happening, that's probably what happened. There could be a time where somehow we managed to get the same load on 2 different drivers. That would be more rare. But I imagine that's got to be the exception, right? Because I don't hear about it that often. It does happen, and I know it's obviously an annoyance when it does happen. So apologize. We do the best we can to make sure those kind of snafus don't happen. I feel like we got a pretty robust system that prevents that from happening too often. But again, humans make mistakes or customers make mistakes. The system will glitch once in a while, and some weird anomaly is going to happen like that.
I think I've heard sometimes that their PO numbers can be only 1 digit off too, right? So it could be I'm picking up 11213 and they say 11214 or something. So there's just a human error happens.
Yep, it does,
right?
Yep.
I would say on the dedicated side on that, we do have load cancellations too that happen at the last minute, and the load doesn't go the trailer doesn't fill out, etc. And in most of those cases, we can get our driver another load that right behind it. So, but it does happen every now and then.
Well, and you mentioned dedicated, Mark. Can you give us? It's a pretty robust line of business. There's a lot of different, on sites. About how many do you have?
Yeah, we have about 130 different locations.
Wow.
We've had our customers, as I was on earlier this morning, talking about our dedicated history of 30 years as a dedicated brand, and we've been with a lot of our customers for multiple years, if not decades, and we just have a very loyal customer following. We do a great job for our customers. They're great partners. And, it's a big line of business within our company. It's part of our trucking segment. And, we look at it as a career path for drivers that develop in our system. And as their life needs change, we find opportunities for them in dedicated.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about your turnover. You want to hit on that? Because you got great turnover.
Well, we have solid turnover. We have an initiative called Job of Choice, where we're trying to make every one of our dedicated jobs a job that our drivers will want to pursue and stay with. And so, it's our turnover is down this year, and it's come down, significantly over the past few years, despite unfortunately losing a few fleet jobs. Our customers are going to make decisions that we may not necessarily agree with, but we support that and we move on. And we also add new business, Ken, as well. So, being able to retain drivers and dedicate is a key part of our success.
So if anybody listening, whether it's our current drivers or other drivers, want to get on a dedicated, how would they do that?
Yeah, I would say for our current Swift drivers, I would get with your driver leader first, have that discussion about what you're looking for, et cetera, so that they're in the loop on your desires. And then, we've got a driver placement team that's available to look within all our openings and let you know what we've got that might fit your needs. We've got openings, geographically across the country. different jobs for different customers. And then if you're not a Swift driver today and you're interested in a dedicated position or at any of the other Swift lines of business, please go to our website, swifttrans.com, and you'll look there. You can apply online, but you can also have visibility and search for a job that may fit your needs better than what you're doing today.
Excellent. Well, one of our other questions, Mike Ryan wrote in, can we ditch the handwritten federal inspection stickers to a punch card style sticker?
Well, I'll take that one too. So I actually reached out to Steve Lentz, the guy that runs our shop. So as long as I've been here, we've used the same little decal with a wax pen. It's not the best system, but unfortunately, we're not sure there's a better system out there. So Steve's going to look into it to see what else might be out there. Technology improves, things improve. Maybe there's a better mousetrap, but today that's what we've got, and so we just kind of do the best we can with that. It's kind of a takeaway for Steve to make sure his, the shops are all making sure when they do write, they're writing clear, using a good grease pen to make sure it's very legible. But that's kind of a tough one. There's no way to have a digital signature or verification that a trailer and truck has been inspected. It's got to be kind of a manual type process, and trailers, trucks out in the weather, it's kind of a hard deal to have a great system, on the truck and trailer.
That's always a good pre-trip. Always, you can get a lot closer.
Absolutely.
Sometimes if you're just looking through a window, it helps to get out and walk that lot.
Yep, definitely.
All right. One of the questions came in, will Swift ever get into the tanker business?
Me to take that, or you?
It'd
be dedicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've
Especially if it's fuel.
We've actually hauled some tankers in the past of crude oil. We were moving from a Colorado pumping station into Cushing, Oklahoma, and we ran a dedicated fleet for a number of years until they built a pipeline, which kind of replaced what we were doing. But really, it would have to be the right opportunity. It's not a part of our current book of business. We do a lot of specialized equipment, including pups and reefers, flatbeds, Conestogas, etc. But tankers right now aren't necessarily at the top of our list. But if we found the right opportunity, certainly we would consider that.
Yeah, if you would have asked me 5-6 years ago about LTL, I would have said, we're not interested.
Exactly.
But I guess you never know. With could roll up into the KNX, Knight Swift parent company, probably wouldn't be a direct division of Swift, but it definitely could be something that would roll up to the parent company.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here's one. When will Swift get air ride van trailers? Air ride vans will open up more freight opportunities.
You do have some in dedicated.
Yeah, we do have some in dedicated, and customers are willing to support that. The other thing with air rides in a dedicated environment is we can keep those trailers captive, and they don't get out in the rest of the system. And so it's just a little bit easier when we do that supporting a dedicated.
Yeah, and with line haul, we've looked at it. We've ran them before. They're a lot more expensive to buy. They're more expensive to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
There are opportunities that you can haul freight on air ride, but it's not a huge, it's not really going to open up the coffers where there's a ton more freight coming into line haul. A lot of that's going to be more on the dedicated side. So really the expense probably wouldn't outweigh the benefit. And with 80,000, dry vans we have today that aren't air ride, if you did buy, a couple thousand air rides, it'd be a challenge trying to keep those on the right lanes unless it was a dedicated operation.
All right. Who can I ask for help to get hazmat license?
I'd start with your driver leader. We do have a process. We actually pay for that. So if you do want to get your hazmat endorsement, we would definitely encourage you to do that. I think as more and more vehicles become electric, whether you're in support of that or not, doesn't matter. There's more and more of those vehicles coming. There's going to be more and more need to ship batteries. And to do that, you got to have your hazmat endorsement. So we've kind of been encouraging that because we do feel like that's going to be an area that's going to continue to grow, depending on, regulation and, who's in the office, who's not in the office could have a vary on how much of that we see. But either way, I do think there's going to be more and more, loads of batteries that are going to be out there to haul. And you got to have a driver with that endorsement to do it.
So Beast Gaming is following up with how many hazmat opportunities are there? Is it worth really doing it?
Today it's limited, but I would tell you if you're in a market, you have the endorsement. It doesn't cost you anything to do it because we're going to pay for it. It does give you a leg up, in that market if we do have a hazmat load. And there's other loads like, paint. There's different other types of loads that we do have today that require, a hazmat endorsed driver. it's just not a ton of volume out there today.
It's always good to have those tools in your tool belt, so for future use.
It just might put you to the front of the list if you've got it and 10 other drivers don't have it.
Yeah, I always highly encourage our dedicated drivers to get their hazmat because, as Jim said, it's not maybe a high percentage of what we haul, but if it's 10, 15% and you're on a dedicated fleet, et cetera, that just opens up more loads to, that you can handle. And, more and more customers today, along with the batteries, we're seeing batteries and everything, So, yeah, I think we're going to see more demand as we go forward. And it just opens up more opportunities to haul additional freight.
Good question.
Yeah, very good question. Do we hire recent graduates from truck driving schools?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whether it's Swift or not, we're always looking to hire qualified drivers. So again, if you get it on the website, Mark mentioned earlier, you get with the Swift recruiter over the phone. Either way, just get your name out there. We can talk to you and see if you're able to hire in the Swift.
All right, and I think this has a little ad lib I have to put to it. So right now, our current vacation system, they can select, or at their anniversary, they get paid out their vacation. So Red Panda is asking, when can we select when we want to use our vacation? So kind of save it up and use it at the time rather than at the anniversary.
You want to take that because I know you've had a lot of meetings on that. We've been working on that kind of slowly, but
so we've told you about it for the last couple of years. We realized that it's just programming, and we've found other stuff that you want more or just is taking priority to get it programmed. Right now in our steering committee, we have looked at that and we're setting that for March of next year. Now, if you're in the driver performance program, you can talk to your driver leader. If you are taking a vacation and it's a legit vacation, I went on a cruise, I flew out of town, they will also limit your driver performance or give you credit for those days, right? So they'll make sure that you get credit for that. So they just send it in for an override.
Got it. So if you're not a Swift driver, how it works today is on your anniversary, your vacation pay automatically pays out. So
yes,
what we're trying to do is set that up where you can request it 6 months later or 9 months later, whatever it is, you're actually going to take a vacation. So you get that pay as you take the vacation.
Definitely. Does Swift have plans to have more refrigerated loads to South Texas?
I don't know about specifically South Texas, but we are trying to grow the over-the-road reefer division. We've been looking a lot trying to grow the reefer dedicated division
as well, right?
It's been a struggle. The dedicated especially has been hard. As everyone knows, the last 2.5 years, freight in general has been very hard. So I tell you that right now, service is key. So we've lost some accounts due to poor service. And when I say poor service, it might be like 95%, which 3 years ago, customers would have loved to have 95%. These days, they expect, 98. In your case, Mark, 99.5 even. So service is key for us to not only hold on to the business we have, but grow with our current customers, in addition to obviously, picking up new freight as we find those opportunities.
Yeah, I would just say overall, we're always looking for good refrigerated dedicated opportunities. But with the one-way market being as competitive as it is today, that's really cut into the a lot of the refrigerated tours that we would run across a week period of time. So we should see more of that come around as the market tightens. But for now, it's been relatively tight.
Yep.
So we used to have a couple terminals in Southern Cal. One was Fontana and Jurupa Valley. And Shane is asking that now that we're into one, the parking's a little overwhelming at times. Is there any plans to fix that, or what's that look like?
You want me to take that? Yeah. So to Phil, give a little background. We were in our dedicated Fontana terminal for approximately 8 years. Our property was the property was bought from the prior landlord by an investment company who came back to us and wanted to basically triple our lease rate, which obviously we would have difficulty affording. So we made the strategic decision to pick up a couple drop lots, which we've done, as well as move our office staff into Jurupa Valley. And I think overall the teams have worked very well together. Very appreciative to Jack Evans and his team at the Jurupa Valley terminal. I think it's a matter of we're moving trailers out. There's some sale trailers in there that I think we still need to move, but I'm told that it's much better. Now, there are times of the week when we may get tight, and we are aware of that, and our teams are committed to working through those. So, but last I checked, which was probably a week ago, we had moved as many trailers off site as we had space, and we'll continue to look for ways to free up that property so that everybody can move in and out safely.
Yeah, and if you think that buying a house in California is expensive, you got to try buying commercial land. It's crazy what the prices have done. So we're very limited on what we could do. We're doing the best we can. To Mark's point, we've continued to try to push extra trailers out of there, and so that's kind of a slow process. But the goal is that you have plenty of parking, or at least enough parking, I'll say, on the weekends. Obviously, holidays are probably always going to be a challenge. Right. Every terminal I know just gets overloaded, typically on Saturday, Sunday, but really on the holiday weekends is when we just have no parking. But
yeah, because our customers are preloading trailers because they don't work the holidays, so you end up with an extra day's worth of trailers or more in the lot. But I think you're working on the intermodal side of moving some of the empties out.
We are. So we're putting vans on intermodal to ship them to the central and east, where we could actually use more trailers, free up space on the West Coast. And really, that's not just a California problem. That problem really is kind of all over the whole West Coast, even a few terminals in the central region that have too many trailers that just congest the whole yard. And so we're going to continue to work on that, because our goal would be anytime you come into a terminal, whether it be, a weekday, weekend, whatever, we want to make sure you have a safe place to park and not have to try to squeeze your truck and trailer through there to navigate the yard.
So we're going to bounce back to a couple of the things we just talked about. One of them from Ty is asking about, have we looked at all the different types of vacation and how we could do it? So the answer to that is yes. As we work through the programming, we've looked at a rolling 52-week or a 3-month or even an average. So we are reviewing all that right now. So I think you'll see changes as we get into the programming of that system. Then back also to your like doubles, triples. Will there be lanes that we have available possibly that you would need doubles or triples? So that's, I think, another endorsement question that goes along with hazmat.
Yeah, we do bid on an occasional doubles. We don't see a lot of those opportunities necessarily, but we do see some, and we don't shy away from that. So you would certainly need an endorsement there. So, but again, the more that you can open up, have the hazmat, have the doubles or pups endorsement, I think that opens you up to more opportunities when they materialize.
Yeah, and probably the majority of the doubles and triples would be LTL, I would guess, that you see on the road.
Yeah.
Which that, when it run through Swift, to be underneath the parent company, underneath, ACT or DHE.
Yeah, I don't know that we've seen many. I got a fly running around here.
I think McBee brought it.
Yeah,
it's my friend. His name's Carlos.
We don't see many triples opportunities, but we certainly do see some doubles here and there. So, and we run some today. All
right, Jim. How about any chance of us getting on HSA instead of FSA?
Yeah, so I actually looked into that. I'm going to read this question so I don't screw it up.
Okay.
So now keep in mind, a lot of these programs where it's tax deferred or tax free are government controlled. So we don't have a say in whether we do it or not. This is an example where we don't have the option of going with an HSA, health savings account. However, we do have the FSA, flexible savings account, and that's due to the fact we don't have a high deductible plan on our insurance. So we have 3 PPO plans that have the FSA, but unfortunately at Swift we can't have both, and you can't have the HSA due to legal reasons.
I'm glad you knew that one.
Well, I didn't know that. I had to ask that question.
We leave that to Jim.
All right, here's the question of the day. Is there any plans for cost of living increases?
Yeah, hey, here's what I tell you. Soon as the market turns around, we've had a lot of conversation. I feel like we've been waiting, kind of like everyone, for this market to turn. It does feel like we've been at the bottom. We know we've been at the bottom for probably 4 months. It does feel like we're starting to climb again. So it's going to be a very slow climb. It's not going to be a quick bounce up like we saw in 2020 with COVID, and it won't be a steep drop like we saw after that, great wave ended. But we do think it's going to be a slow and steady climb. The next bid season is really where we think we'll take advantage of that. Customers are already starting to kind of tighten up. It's not, they're not trying to keep driving our price down like they have been the last 2.5 years, which when the rate keeps going down like that, it's just so hard to do any kind of across the board increases. Now we still obviously increase rate with miles or tenure, and so our over the road drivers continue to get rate increases. Now it has a cap, so if you've been here for 20, 25 years, obviously you're capped out. So I'm not talking about you, but those drivers that are on the scale would continue to move up. I'm talking about doing an across the board increase, which we definitely are looking forward to doing that as soon as we know the market's turning and we start to see rate coming back and our loader rate starts going back up.
And that question or that answer kind of dovetails into Johnny's question, because the next piece was, what about owners? What about mentors? That includes everything.
Everyone, yeah. It all tied together, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, can I answer that from the dedicated perspective?
Definitely.
Because we're a little different, as I think most people know. So our business is contractual. It's usually multi-year. 3 years is the most common, and it's really dependent. Future pay increases are dependent on our ability to negotiate that with our customers. I will tell you that when the market tightens up and they know driver pay is increasing, we've had a lot of success in prior years keeping up or catching up with the market. And so it's really it's an open discussion that we have on the anniversary of every one of our agreements. And hey, if we agree with our customers or they agree with us that driver pay increase is needed to support their fleet, it's an investment in their fleet, which acts as their private fleet. They'll support that. And so we're always having those discussions. But as Jim said, in today's market, a lot of our customers have in the last couple of years been looking for cost reductions, not increases. So we just haven't had the opportunity to increase driver pay as much as we would like to. But we'll have those opportunities down the road, and we'll take advantage of that.
Definitely.
Well, and while we're talking about it, we might as well hit all the pay items. What about from mileage to percentage for owners?
So I'll take that one as well. So believe it or not, we're actually having conversations around possibly doing a fleet of percentage owner operators. So we've done experiments here and there. We haven't added any in a long time. But we are actually right now looking at how can we do that where it makes sense for the company, makes sense for the owner, and possibly tie in logistics where we could kind of get a bigger view of more freight out there that would help make this work.
So that would really expand that load board too.
Absolutely. So I'm not going to give a date, but I will tell you we're having meetings on that as often as like this week we've had meetings on it. So it's in the process.
All right. Good news. Let's see here. Now that tire socks are approved in every state, will we switch to those from chains?
Take that. I haven't looked into. I've looked into tire socks years ago up in Sumner on our dedicated Costco fleet. I think it's a great option. I didn't realize that's actually approved now. So I'll take that as a takeaway. Get with Steve Lynch to see what the cost looks like on those. How long do they last? I know it's a lot easier to put those on and off than chains. So that might be a viable option, at least in our fleets that are dedicated or quasi-dedicated in the regions where you have a lot of snow.
Yeah, we would certainly look at that option, but it hasn't been on the table here recently. So,
any chance of increasing shop hours to avoid the long lines at some of the shops?
Yeah, so that's one we look at. So if I had an example, I could look to see like specifically, because sometimes we get that, we look at it and we agree, and we'll open a shop on like a half day Saturday, a half day Sunday, or whatever it might be. But keep in mind right now with the rates the way they've been, and rates have went down for 2.5 years, we've had to do everything we can to control our costs. And so limiting hours at a shop would be an example of trying to control the cost. So it might not be as convenient not having a shop open maybe 7 days a week. Now they're open 6 days a week or 5 days a week, full shift, and half day Saturday or half day Sunday. But if you have examples, please let us know, because we want to look if there's a need where we're holding up drivers. We don't want that, but we are trying to control the cost the best we can.
So Kevin's asking about relationships with our LTL. Since we're really getting deep into LTL, do you think that there will be more opportunities for us to collaborate, and there maybe be more freight that comes into the system from LTL?
Yeah, absolutely. And so as that happens, and so now you got another LTL company, right? So that kind of gives us really good exposure everywhere except maybe the Northeast. We're looking to expand up there, in the near future. As we get bigger and bigger in LTL, it'll create more and more opportunities for full truckload. And obviously, Knight Swift, Knight Swift, U.S. Express, those three would be the top three choices when we convert an LT load over to full truckload.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I would say on the dedicated front, all of those folks have dedicated platforms, and some don't know that AAA Cooper, they actually have about 900 dedicated trucks. So I was invited to present to their dedicated team at their quarterly meeting in Dallas a month ago or so, and just trading industry information, best practices, etc. It's really exciting to learn more about what they have. Very specialized fleets. They do a lot of specialized equipment that you normally wouldn't see, and very strong business that they have in the Southeast U.S. primarily. And then they got to hear what we do as Swift, across the country and with the customer base that we have. So we're learning from each other, and when that happens, it's going to create more opportunities.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably confused. Why did we buy LTL companies? And I tell you, it's not to get the full truckload business out of it. That's kind of a like a after effect that you get, which is a benefit. But really with LTL, it's very steady, and so it kind of helps smooth out the ups and downs. That if you've been in trucking more than 5, 6, 7 years, you know this happens on a regular basis. Now, obviously, COVID was such a ramp up that we never seen, followed by a sharp drop. So that was out of the norm. But typically, you do have ups and downs in full truckload, where in LTL it's kind of steady into the right. There's it's a lot less competition with LTL, and so that's one reason we did that, was just to have that steady earnings, make our company more strong and more stable, regardless of the environment we're in.
Yeah, certainly on the diversification side, like Jim mentioned, but they've got thousands of LTL customers, and there's they've got to have other freight as well, and we've got lots of services to offer those customers. So I think we'll see some more opportunities there as we build that out.
Excellent. Will the Otay Mesa yard be updated and terminal?
At some point, we anything that wasn't already in progress as far as getting a remodel done, we put on hold. And again, things are tight, right? So we're trying to figure out where do we not have to spend money. And so as things loosen up a little bit, we'll get back to doing remodels. And so that's one thing we're committed to do, is remodeling every terminal that we have that needs it. If it's been remodeled, obviously we're not going to do another one, but terminals like Otay Mesa, we'll get a remodel. Menasha is another one that hasn't been touched, is in desperate need of a remodel. Those types of terminals will definitely get remodeled. I hope sooner than later, because we're waiting for the market to rebound before we start that.
Excellent. Let's see here. Will we have a load board for reefer?
Not likely, no.
Okay. This is your favorite question, Jim. I know it is. Okay. Have we talked about APUs yet?
Well, so what? if you can believe it, the new Volvos we're getting, I don't know how many we're getting, but we're getting some.
I think there's
in fourth
62
quarter.
Or 60.
60. Okay, so the 60 Volvos we're getting it's an electric APU. I don't know that they necessarily call it an APU, but that's what it is. And so I'm really excited, because I've been a huge fan of trying to figure out how to make an APU work at
Cost
Swift.
effective, yeah.
But the problem is, to Mark's point, they're not cost effective today. Now, if we kept our trucks for 8, 9, 10 years, the math would work and there'd be a return on the investment. But we don't, right? Because we turn our trucks in every 4 to 5 years. And so the math doesn't work on the cost of an APU versus what your cost savings are. Outside of that, though, I'm still a huge fan of trying to figure out how to make this work. And I do think as battery technology continues to get better, it'll make the electric APU that much more attractive. And I think the cost will continue to come down as those batteries become more and more mass produced. So hang in there. I think you'll see more and more APUs in the future. But right now, we're not looking at adding APUs other than the Volvos we spec with them.
And these are test fleets. So some of the feedback Tim gave me this week was, just so everybody knows, we will be looking for people to drive these test trucks. And they're technically test trucks. So more than just a fix a headlight, a B service, things like that, it will have to go to the dealer. So, but these trucks will be coming in December, January, and we are looking for people that want to drive Volvos that will test these for us.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So this is Billy Jack. You really just had a suggestion. Can we try to look at owner-operator training pay being the same as company, or them getting the same incentives? So we'll take that down and have a discussion on that. Is there a mentor? Is the mentor bonus going to continue after the new year? So we've got it extended through, I think it's the 2nd of January.
I'll just say yes, that way we have to do it.
Okay.
We'll have to get Adam's approval on that, but I already said yes, we're going to have to do it now. But I think that's something we're going to have to do. Hey, we love our mentors. There's a definite need to have good mentors. So if you're mentoring for us today, thank you for what you're doing. If you think you have what it takes to be a coach and teach new drivers, coming into the industry how to drive a truck and how to safely drive a truck and do things right, please raise your hand and let us know, because we're always looking to expand the mentor fleet, but we're very selective on who we want to put in there. So
excellent. Here's one for you, Mark. Curious, can dedicated create more opportunities for owners? Will you look into that to get, especially in the Mid-Atlantic region? They said.
Yeah, there's that's a great question, and we do support owner operators within dedicated, with the exception of a few states which we try to avoid, and so it really depends on the location and the pricing that we negotiate with a customer. But we have approximately 200 owner operators running dedicated today. That's been a pretty stable number over time. And, hey, talk to Brett Stewart all the time and our independent contractor group about, creating more opportunities for owners. It's just a matter of finding the right fit. And when we find them, we'll open it up and, that'll be available.
I'm going to take just a few more questions here. Frank Ritter, we see your comment. I would tell you, my number directly. Just call me. It was really about Geotab and how could we put some of the federal inspection stuff in there and then some easier contacts. So my team works on that. So we'll definitely do that. One of them was about a flatbed load board. We have to make sure are dry, and that's way down the road if it was going to happen at all. And then can the Atlanta terminal get an expansion? They're in need of room.
That I don't know about, so I'd have to look into that to see.
But that's one of the ones that is on the list for after things kind of come back. This is the last question I have in the queue for right now. Will Swift get back into the container lane out of Long Beach? That's hard to tell.
We do a little bit, in that lane out of the Port of LA. Knight does a lot more than we do, and so I think a lot of those bids typically kind of go over to Knight. They're probably more competitive than we are. They know how to manage the per diem, the demurrage, and that's an area that if you're not on top of that, you lose a lot of money very quickly. But what I would tell you is we're not ever going to shy away from business. So there's a very good chance we could get more involved with that. That's an area where California has a lot of restrictions on what kind of trucks they want in there. And so I think, Swift would be a company that would be, in a good position to take advantage of that as some of those, come to fruition.
Well, this is a good one, so I'll ask one last question.
I have one after that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Can owner-operators get Geotab? So the plan is for all of us, I believe, right?
As far as I know, yes.
Yes.
Eventually, yeah. And again, this is like kind of a slow rollout, so it's not going to happen overnight. It's a manual process done in the shop, so it's not an over-the-air update, obviously. So when we do that, it takes a long time to get the fleet through the shops.
Definitely. Mark?
Well, I had a question that came in late after our dedicated presentation this morning, and the question was, do we want to grow dedicated? And the answer is absolutely yes. And it's as I said before, it's been kind of tough sledding in this market the last 2 years. We haven't seen near as many opportunities, but we're still growing. We added a couple fleets in September. We're still seeing our incumbent business grow, where a customer may add a truck or two or 5 trucks, and we're always looking to grow with our existing book of business. But I would ask all of our drivers, as you see opportunities out there, if if our competitors have a dedicated fleet or used to drive on one, or you see one you drive by all the time, we're always looking for those type of leads. So I would get with your driver leader and let them know. But hey, that's one way drivers can help us grow our dedicated platform, and we want to certainly continue to pursue that and find more opportunities that fit our drivers' personal needs.
Definitely. I'll kind of piggyback on that just to make sure everyone understands. So like in line haul, we're not growing. We're actually exactly flat on our seated truck that we were year over year. So this time last year, we had the same amount of seated trucks and line haul, and we're not looking to grow that until we see the freight volume start to pick up. Now, when freight volume picks up, we'll grow our truck count. But keep in mind, there's a big difference between line haul and dedicated. So I don't want everyone being spooked thinking we're going to try to grow. There's not enough freight to go around now. We're not doing that in line haul.
Excellent.
Good point.
Well, we're the day before the end of the week, so of one of our best favorite weeks of the year for all of us. Do you have anything you want to say to our drivers as we're kind of getting close to the end of Driver Appreciation Week?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
And I've heard it numerous times, watching some of the different live videos this week. And I love hearing it, but it's so true. Like we don't want you to feel appreciated once a year, or we do this 4 times a year at a smaller scale, but we want you to feel that appreciation year round. But this is the time of year where we pump the brakes. Everyone kind of ignores their email.
Cancel the meetings.
I've had a lot of complaints this week from customers because things fall through the cracks this week, because you do have a lot of people, especially at the small terminals, they're spending their day out in the driver's lounge, out in the yard, cooking, serving, just kind of being out there. So, this is the time of year where we really go out of our way to make sure you feel the appreciation. But please know that we appreciate you every day, every week of the year. It's just, this is the time of year where we hit the pause button and we do stuff like this to try to show it to you.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that this group of hardworking drivers that we have that support our country, get recognition for a week, and that we support that and do everything we can, as Jim said, to kind of stop what we're doing and thank everyone. We hope we don't miss anyone. We go to great lengths, Ken, to make sure we can reach out and thank every driver within Swift. And so if you get left out, let us know, and we'll certainly try to make it up to you. But a lot of effort. The team does a lot to support this entire week. And I also want to thank all of our non-drivers as well, because they feel the same way. I know a lot of them are out at our terminals, at our on-site locations, and playing a role in that, as well as our customers. We have great customers who really support this week and with giveaways, lunches, you name it, to make our drivers feel like they're appreciated. So a lot goes into this, but you all deserve it.
Definitely appreciate everyone. As we round out the week, Friday is usually the biggest day. People are cooking. You'll see terminal leaders and everybody, dedicated leaders on grills. In Phoenix, we're serving up at least 1,000 pounds of just barbecue tomorrow. Please stop by any of the terminals, get your driver gift. We appreciate everything you do. Look forward to we have a few more lives tomorrow, so you'll see a few more people. But as we round out the week, thank you for all you do. Please be safe out there and have a great driver appreciation.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Take care.